Hello and howdy ho everyone, Foxy Games here, and welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV Full Story Playthrough. I feel like we've done just about everything that's considered side content in this expansion. So, with that being said, let's start winding down towards the end. For, you see, we only have 2 patches worth of content left for Shadowbringers. The main story quest is coming to a close. So let's not waste any time. We'll talk to Alphino and Alisaie. In the face of this new draconic threat, we would indeed benefit from Estinian's presence. Yet I cannot help but wonder how Kryl and Tataru intend to locate him. They certainly seemed confident, however. Oh, they've got Estinian wrapped around their fingers. It's all good. Good news, Foxy. Thancred and Urianger have finished their tour of Garlemald and are on their way back here even as we speak. As we still haven't heard anything on the towers from the Alliance, I'm hoping they might be able to shed some light on things. They're due to arrive any moment now, so let's see what they have to say, eh? Ah, welcoming party. You needn't have gone to all the trouble. From what I hear, you've been more than busy enough as it is. Honestly, you might have waited for me to return before discovering a cure for tempering. As it is, I can't even pretend to have been involved. Well, if it's any consolation, I myself was little more than a spectator. The lion's share of the credit must go to Alisaie, Graha, and Foxy. But I believe I speak for the rest of us when I say we are proud to have rendered what little assistance we could. As you will also have heard, though, it hasn't all been tales of triumph. Just as we were taking a step towards finally addressing the primal threat, a pile of fresh problems landed in our lap. Anyway, it's good to have you back, though I can't help noticing that we're one Urianger short of a scouting party. You haven't lost him, have you? Oh, I couldn't lose him if I tried, and I did try repeatedly. But no, he decided to linger in Alamigo to apprise Roban and the others of how the land lies in Garlemald. Then mayhap you would do the same for us. Indeed. It was just as Lee said, worse in fact. Devastation as far as the eye could see. Nerva and the Third, however, were notable by their absence. Might they have met their end at the hands of Xenos and Fandaniel? Perhaps. Or perhaps they simply lost the will to fight. You see, the capital has been plunged into a deathly silence with one exception, the Imperial Palace. It was a busy place before the war, but it has grown busier still, with throngs of soldiers and civilians working there day and night to rebuild, or rather, transform it. Transform it? Into what? That is a difficult question to answer. The construction is vast and unsettling to behold, like something from a nightmare. According to Urianger, certain aspects of its design were clearly devised with the manipulation of ether in mind. Magitech, in other words. Yet as unnerving as said edifice was, it was nothing next to the sight of its builders. They swarmed the place like so many insects, working with a nary a word exchange between them. No one overseeing construction, no one barking orders, or as if they were possessed, or tempered. We wanted to investigate more closely, but given our suspicions, it seemed wiser not to take the risk. If Fandaniel could bind Bahamut to his will, might he have done the same to the people of Garlemald? Whatever the truth may be, this information is certain to prove valuable. You have our thanks. Well, be sure to stay from Urianger. Which reminds me, I have a message from Alamigo. Rauban is hosting a meeting to discuss the latest findings on the towers, and he requested our presence. Then why not leave that to us? You must be weary from your mission. No, I'm fine. Those towers have been on my mind since I first spied one on my way back, and I'm keen to get to the bottom of this. In that case, I shall stay and begin looking into another matter, as I promised Kryl. We need not all attend. Very well, I suggest the rest of us make our way to Alamigo forthwith. The sooner we leave, the more time we will have to speak with Urianger before the meeting. Yeah, only one request. Can you guys refrain from passing out and going to a different world? You know, that's kind of what happened in our last meeting. You all got fucking isekai'd. If you're curious to know what I will be doing in your absence, let us speak of it another time. At present, Kryl and I have no more than a hypothesis. That's fair. We'll leave the others to it, and we'll go to the Alamigan Quarter. Here's our friends. Graha! I wonder if there have been any developments regarding the Amalja abductions. It can be no mere coincidence that the incidents began occurring just as the towers first appeared. Yes, so it would seem, but... These towers are still very mysterious to us. Although I was only in Revenant's a short while, I did manage to squeeze in a brief drink with Flamine. Spring water only, it being a flying visit. The Royal Menagerie is still closed to civilians. Fandaniel and his pet certainly left their mark. While we may safely assume that the Telophoroi are behind the works being carried out in the Imperial Palace, we can only guess at their purpose. My friends, much and more have I heard of your travails in our absence. Heartened am I to see you all hale and whole. As a wait to see you safely return from your mission, Urianger. I trust Thancred made you feel welcome? Well, well, if it isn't Alphino and his merry band, who would that be? Why, it's Arenvald. Arenvald, whatever are you doing here? When we spoke via Link Pearl, you told me you'd be away on a mission. And who's to say this isn't part of it? But enough about that, it's good to see you looking so similar. I thought you'd have grown a bit taller after a whole year in another world, but apparently not. Oh dear. Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you. While my soul may be a year older, my body has hardly aged, as you are well aware. And may I remind you that we Elezen are known to be late bloomers, especially in terms of our height. Mark my words, a day will come when even a great aurochs such as yourself will crane your neck to meet my eye. Aye, 'twas not until my 20th summer that I myself outgrew my boyish proportions, though Moonbreeder towered over me nonetheless. Arenvald brings out the best in Alphino, doesn't he? They both seem so at ease in each other's company, it's almost endearing. So what exactly brings you here? Oh, for Dola, mostly. We need to go over a few things before we set out. Set out? Wait, does this have something to do with the towers? Eh? What gave you that impression? Actually, tell me later. You've got a meeting to go to. I'll see you afterwards, alright? So serious all of a sudden. If Fordola is going with him, that must mean... My apologies. As Arenvald rightly pointed out, we have a meeting to attend. Let us be about it.
Ere we begin, I would like to offer my gratitude to Masters Thancred and Urianger. Tis no small feat to infiltrate the Imperial capital and live to tell the tale, much less in times of civil war. Thanks to them, we may plot our course in full knowledge of how the winds blow in Garlemald.
Full glad are we to have been of service. But verily, such dangers as we did encounter pale into insignificance next to those faced by our comrades. An Ascian, armed with the might of Bahamut, bent on bringing about the final days.
Theatrics. He sought only to make a show of the power at the Telophoroid's disposal. But since then we have seen no sign of this Fandaniel or his worm. And while we've done what we can to bolster our defenses, there's no telling where he might strike next.
Whenever and wherever it may be, we must use the intervening time to learn more of our enemy. 'Twas with this in mind that we dispatched scouts to investigate the towers.
Our advance party took longer than expected to return. And when they did, they tried to kill us. Luckily, I'd seen that sort of thing before, and we were able to restrain them before they did any harm. Then it was just a matter of letting the Porksies do their work.
Are you saying they were tempered?
Once they'd come back to their senses, they told us everything they could. It seems that just as they were getting close to the tower, they heard an ear-splitting roar, and that was the last thing they remembered. But what worries me most is what they were saying right before they attacked. Glory be to Garlemald.
The Tempered have heretofore ever been thralls to primal entities. Yet these hapless souls were compelled to accept a nation as the object of their devotion. This calleth into question all that we know of the condition.
Would that the unsettling news ended there. Alas, there is more. Following the earlier reports of missing Amalja, we have learnt that other beast tribes have suffered similar losses. And we now have reason to believe that the abductions are connected to the appearance of the towers. Our scouts sighted black-garbed figures leading Shackled Ixal in the direction of the tower in Dravania. The Temple Knights were able to intercept them before they could reach their destination, liberating the Ixal and apprehending their captors, each of whom was found to be equipped with Garlean arms and armor.
So the Empire is the common thread.
With the support of Xenos, it seems likely that Fandaniel has rallied a faction of the splintered Garlean army to the banner of the Telophoroi.
Lord Hien reached the same conclusion when I shared our findings with Doma. The plan had been to march on Garlemald from the east and west in order to force a peace treaty. But the situation has changed. Dealing with the threat of the towers must come first. Given the nature of the enemy and the proven risk of tempering, I could think of few suitable candidates to aid in this task. But I am confident in my choice.
What?
Resistant to primal influence as they are, they can investigate the towers without fear of being turned.
We are glad to put our gifts to use, Commander.
Gifted or not, going behind enemy lines remains a perilous undertaking. But we must know more if we're to strike back at our foe. I'm counting on you.
If it would give us the upper hand, I'd do it 100 times over. We won't let you down.
That concludes the briefing. You two, make ready and join your escort.
Are you certain about this, Arenvold?
I am.
Come on, let's talk outside.
So that's why Arenvald was looking so serious. He knows the risks. If it's small talk you're after, look elsewhere. Not any friendlier than you used to be. I accept that numbers can prove a hindrance of infiltrating enemy territory, but to only send 2? Now that it's out in the open, I don't have to keep it under my proverbial hat anymore.
So you know, I've already gone through all the formalities at the Rising Stones. Made sure to inform Jamoldra and Vmar at Ralga's Reach as well.
Arenvald, I admire your enthusiasm, but this is far more dangerous than anything you have done before.
I know the risks. And I also know what's in store if we don't stop Fandaniel from carrying out his plan. With this power of mine, I can make a difference. If I stood idly by, I would regret it for the rest of my life.
And you, Fudola? Is this what you want?
What are you asking me for? It's not like I have any say in the matter.
Don't pretend. We both know Commander Eldin gave you a chance to refuse. And you didn't.
So the Empire's finished, is it? But that's what they're all saying. That the great and glorious Garlemald slit its own throat. And now, from out of its twitching carcass crawls the Telophoroi with bloody Xenos at its head! I fought for Garlemald. Killed for Garlemald. What was I part of? I need to know. Whatever it is, I need to know.
Very well. If your hearts are set on this, I shall not stand in your way.
If you've finished with your touching display of camaraderie, I have a question. Which tower are you planning to investigate, exactly?
Well, the one in Girabani is said to be tightly guarded. It's patrol after patrol out there, apparently. We'd be spotted before we got anywhere near it. Which is why we've set our sights on the one in Paglthan instead. There shouldn't be anything like as many Imperials to worry about down there.
Even so, I doubt the local Amalja will look kindly on it if they catch you sneaking around in their territory.
Fordola and I had a chance to learn the lie of the land in our previous forays there. We might still find trouble, but at least we won't lose our way. Well, we'd best not keep them waiting any longer.
Mayhap when all of this is over, we could take another trip to Loxeld. I would have you know I've become a rather capable swimmer since our last visit.
Ha! I'll believe that when I see it. Though, to be fair, getting into deep water does seem to be a scion's lot in life. Take care, eh? It means a lot, you know. You coming with me.
I'll still owe you for saving my skin, don't I? Can't return the favour if I'm not there.
I dare say you'll get your chance before long. That Fandaniel sounds like a tricky customer. Too much for the likes of me, anyway. But we both know I'd just be another soldier if it weren't for my gift. And I need to be a damn sight more than that given what's coming. I realise I can't hold a candle to a hero like the Warrior of Light, or Alphino, for that matter. He might look like he's 12, but he's seen more action than most people see in a lifetime. No, the fact is I'm nothing like them, and maybe I never will be. But I'll be damned if I don't try. They're counting on me. On us. So let's give it our all.
He does not want for conviction, that much is certain. So let us have faith in him. Him and Fordola both. While they see to the towers, I would attend to another task. Chasing down this Lunar Bahamut.
Oh, bloody thing. Can you hear me? It's Tataru. Oh, I'm happy to say we've managed to find Estinian. And I'm sorry to say he went running off again the moment we told him about Bahamut. But he did mutter something about heading to Ishgard, so if you're quick, you might still be able to catch him.
Even if we set out this instant, he may already have left by the time we arrive. Have her send the Bonanza to Ishgard. It may prove useful should we need to give chase.
I still can't believe that's the name of the airship. It's not serious at all.
Gladly. I'll see to it as soon as Kryl and I get back to the Rising Stones. Good luck.
While you go off on your dragoon hunt, Urianger and I will return to headquarters. We have much to tell the others.
I wish you every success in your search for our elusive friend. May we all meet again ere long.
Well, alrighty. At least now we have Estinian's trail. Whether it leads to him or not, we'll see. I get the impression Arnvald is a lot more apprehensive than he lets on. He will have been grateful if Alphino was there to have to see him off. Estinian Wormblood, the Azure Dragoon. His is another name that featured prominently in the history books. It'll be fascinating to meet the man in the flesh. Don't you go getting a crush, Graha, you're my husband. So Estinian was bound for Ishgard. Whatever it is that brings him home, we must hope it will keep him there long enough for us to find him. Come, there's no time to lose. Let's get going then. It's been a while since we've been to Ishgard, hasn't it? Assuming we find him, this will be my first encounter with the famous Estinian. And if he's half the man Alphino claims, I fully expect to go weak at the knees. Perhaps do a bit of fainting while I'm at it. Ah, Alphino. He talks up Estinian so much. I've only visited Ishgard once before, after the devastation of the Eighth Umbral Calamity. To see the place in all its in all its original glory is a tantalizing prospect indeed. Right, we did see a brief cutscene of Graha and who I assume to be one of Biggs's descendants go to Ishgard to get the Heavens Ward book. All present? Good. Let us split up and search for Estinian. Since we're relatively new to this place, Graha and I will look around the open spaces, the squares and markets and whatnot. You and Foxy can delve into the nooks and crannies. Very well. Let us reconvene at the airship landing later, with or without Estinian. Good luck. I think I shall begin at the Sky Steel Manufactory, so perhaps you could try the congregation. Lucia may well have heard news of our friend's return. Sounds good to me. It'll be good to see Lucia again. Good evening to you, Warrior of Light. Lord Emmerich sent word that you would be attending the meeting in Alamigo, so I gather you have not come in search of him. To what then do we owe the pleasure of your visit? I see. No, we were not aware Sir Estinian had returned to Ishgard, but as I expect you remember, he is wont to come and go as he pleases. Mayhap he came seeking an audience with Lord Emmerich, only to find him absent. In any event, I'm afraid I cannot help you. Perhaps one of your companions has fared better. Ah well, Estinian is ever elusive, so that's no shock. Well, let's go to the airship landing then. Maybe Alice has seen him. Well, he's not with you, so I assume you guys had no luck. Sir Estinian is every bit as elusive as Urianger suggested. Yeah, he is. Well, there's the Bonanza. You can't miss its pink paint job.
No sign of him. Not that I've ever met him before, but the way Alphino goes on about him, I'm fairly sure I could pick him out in a crowd.
Speaking of which, it does seem awfully quiet. If the erstwhile Azure Dragoon had returned to Ishgard, would it not be a source of general excitement?
First the Scion's Coinkeeper, and now you. I'm beginning to think these meetings are more than mere coincidence. Not that I'm complaining. It's been too long.
Too long?
You look an ilm taller and twice as rugged. It suits you, Alphino.
Oh no. Oh no.
Quieter, though. Have you been giving him lessons on how to be the strong, silent type?
I am not Alphino! If the two of you are such firm friends, perhaps you should remember what he looks like. And what do you mean, rugged? Ugh! Had my brother mentioned what an oaf you are, I'd never have bothered looking for you in the first place.
Estinian Wormblood, the Azure Dragoon. He who fought and felled the dread worm Nidhogg at the Warrior of Light's side. To think the day would come when I should see this living legend with my own eyes.
I told you not to get a crush.
Would someone mind explaining what is going on?
Estinian's face says it all, and so does Foxy's for that matter.
Is everything all right? I thought I heard Alice shouting. Estinian! It's been too long.
So, Alice does not respond well to head pats, as it turns out.
No, it's quite understandable. That was hardly the first time we've been confused for one another. Nor, I suspect, will it be the last.
Well, I, for one, will not be making that mistake again. What I will say, for the second time today, is that you've grown. Inside and out. I can tell.
One can't remain a spoiled little lordling forever, you know.
At least someone's having a good time.
Oh, poor Azys. You're not rugged. Well, maybe a little.
You know, when we were growing up, Alphino would never befriend other boys because he couldn't stand the thought of not being in charge. But maybe that's changed. He seems just as happy around Estinian as he does Arenvald.
Perhaps he sees them as the brothers he never had. I think he learned how to talk with people rather than at them, or, well, you can't keep them all to yourself forever. Do we want to tease Azys? I think we want to tease Azys a little.
Keep him to my... You're joking, aren't you? I'd be glad if someone would take him off my hands.
Nah. You two would be lost without each other.
No rest for the righteous, eh? Speaking of which, I was just on my way to borrow an airship to take me to Azys Lla.
Azys Lla? How could I forget? The dragon with whom Bahamut shared the deepest of bonds.
Aye, Tiamat, his mate. Even now she remains imprisoned on Azys Lla, though her remorse binds her faster than any shackle.
I see. As the one who first summoned Bahamut, you believe she may be able to shine some light on his latest incarnation.
Might I suggest that we make the journey to Azys Lla together? I'm not sure if Tataru mentioned this, but we Scions have an airship of our own now.
I see no reason why not. Assuming your sister can bear the thought of sharing a deck with me.
Be my guest. But confuse me with Alphino again, and I'll throw you overboard.
I mean, he is a dragoon. He'd just land it.
Ugh! I don't know who he thinks he is, but he's nothing like Alphino painted him to be.
No, because we kind of helped him lighten up a little bit.
I will admit, he is not exactly as I imagined him either. Based on what I had read of the man, I think I was expecting someone a little less... blunt?
He's always been blunt. He's just a little more playful than he used to be. Well, here we are in Azys Lla. I swear to God, we spend too much time out here. Tiamat summoned Bahamut once before. She may have again, willfully or no. So this is the Delta Quadrant, where countless dragons yet lie imprisoned, the great Tiamat among them. Not to complain, but I didn't expect to find myself here again quite so soon. Yeah, I agree. It has been quite some time since last I set foot in Azys Lla, but I understand the three of you were here rather more recently. I don't suppose you chanced to meet with Tiamat during your visit. Alas not. We had no cause to set foot here in the Delta Quadrant, but I have studied the relevant records, which is not to say I wouldn't appreciate a first-hand account of your dealings with her. Well then, Foxy's the person to ask. As far as I know, she's the only one of us to have met Tiamat face to face. Even now, she remains a prisoner of the Allegan Empire, or let's just say it helped that Midgard Sormer was there to introduce me. We'll say that. Ah, yes, you were a friend of her father. That's kind of putting it lightly, considering he's the literal father of all dragons on Hydaelyn, but, you know. I too have met with Tiamat. After the Dragon Song War came to a close, I came here to speak with her, a worm who had fought her own war against man in another age. I wished to know if she yet harbored thoughts of vengeance, and asked as much. She said no. My hatred for your kind was extinguished long ago. But the guilt she feels for resurrecting Bahamut burns on undimmed. It torments her even now. I see. Then your original reason for coming here was out of concern that Tiamat had been forced to summon Bahamut. Nidhogg is a part of me. I feel his emotions as my own. And I know that he would not allow his sister to be made a tool of evil. In his absence, it falls to me to watch over her. Sounds like you guys have come to respect one another. Which is nice, considering you now share a body. Kinda helps. Our grandfather sacrificed everything to protect the realm from Bahamut. We must be prepared to do the same. The Azure Dragoons of history were the mortal enemies of the dragons, yet now they would be hard-pressed to find a soul who understood them better. It was the Ascians who taught Tiamat the secret of summoning, even as they supplied the Allegans with the means to capture primals. So much suffering, all of it by design. Tiamat awaits. This way. By the way, I have messed with my volume a little bit. I've made the music a little louder. I've made everything a little bit louder. Seeing as I have some finer volume control now, and actually have for a while, I feel like it'll make the game a little bit more easy to watch. It's a little more work for me, but that's okay. So this is one of the 7 great worms. Even thus confined, her presence is overwhelming. Resigned to her fate though she may be, I cannot help but feel that we may be able to help Tiamat, would she only let us. To think that man is responsible for all this, and so much else that dragonkind has suffered. Yes, she's been stuck there for several thousand years.
It's plain she knows naught of recent events. Perhaps you should enlighten her.
Sorry, Dragon Mama. We don't have good news.
I've seen it with my own eyes. Captives of a lost empire, neither alive nor dead, existing only to preserve Bahamut's corporeal form.
Your children's pain means nothing to them. They laugh at your kind's suffering. But tears will not right this wrong, nor will lamentation see the perpetrators punished.
Snosk anta in Dramon.
Behavior befitting a great worm. We came here to ask mighty Tiamat of the First Brood, consort of Bahamut, mother of the dragons of Mericidia, what she intends to do about the crimes committed against her children.
Santalan infan antosk. Goes rent on. Ale o esk an in. Ale kum ak in.
You too were exposed to his influence. That you are yet in possession of your own will is testament to the indomitable strength of your soul. But were you to meet with Bahamut again, you fear you might succumb.
Es snoska dramon king. Nestra in. Illes I. Nesh an. Ala. Unmik Nalstra an Antal an Smon Tahi an.
On the matter of Bahamut's influence, at least, I believe we can be of some assistance. If you're afraid of being enthralled, don't be. We have a cure. And while we've never tried it on one such as you, its basic principles are universal.
Usk she's in.
There is no future for those bound to the past. That you committed a terrible sin, I do not dispute. But if you feel remorse, you may yet make amends. We offer you that chance. Take it, or you will forever remain a prisoner, not of these cruel shackles, but of your own guilt.
Saha an Seth Son Kin Bahamut an. An Sumon na an ingles. Snaloles dish an. Na ala an ul an sin an stan in.
Well, we've spurred her to action. Now it's just a matter of getting her out of there. It would seem she still has some pride after all. Let's see if she's as good as her word. I confess my heart was in my throat when Asinian thought to berate her, but it appears to have had the desired effect. It won't make up for what she suffered at the hands of men, but if there's a chance we can free her, truly free her, we owe it to her to try. While porksies have been shown to be effective in curing the tempered, Tiamat must be considered a special case. She is far, far larger and immeasurably more powerful than any subject treated thus far. Were we to remove her restraints only to find that the process had failed, we would be hard-pressed to contain her. Then, before going ahead, we should learn as much as we can about the exact nature of her condition. Do you suppose we can find that information here? Why yes, we can. We can indeed. The Alligans kept detailed records on all of their notable captives, and I know exactly where to look. We shall leave that to you, then. In the meantime, the rest of us can turn our thoughts to the removal of those shackles. I know Alphino and Foxy here well enough, but not you. Are you certain you're ready to see this through? Rest assured, Sir Estinian, that I am both ready and willing to give my all for the sake of this star, though that is not my only reason for wanting to set Tiamat free. While I do not claim to know all of her sorrows, I too once found myself in a prison of despair, and I well understand how hard it can be to dare to dream of escape. It took the encouragement of braver souls than I to make me take the first step towards a brighter future, and now I would help Tiamat do the same. I gather you are not as young as you look. Mayhap when our work is done here, we could trade tales over a pot of Tataru's famous tea. And be indebted to her for the leaves and hot water? I think not. Oh, Tataru would totally. I see. Returning swiftly to the task at hand, then. I believe the nodes governing Tiamat's restraints are located in the sector known as the Flagship. Ah, yes, we are familiar with it. The Etherochemical Research Facility in particular. Oh, you may wish to take this. A spirit vessel containing a small amount of my blood. Which you just happen to be carrying around with you. I suppose that could seem rather odd. To explain, Rambrose Urianger and I are researching the use of spirit vessels in the transference not only of memories, but the traits of certain bloodlines, and so I keep one at the ready should an opportunity to test our theories arise. As for its use to you, you may recall that during our previous visit, the nodes here granted access to restricted functions, having identified me as being of royal blood. And armed with that spirit vessel, I posit they will do the same for you, even in the absence of, well, the rest of me. It seemed worth a try, at least. Agreed. We will take good care of it. To the flagship, then. Yes, Alice, if you recall the last time, you were called what was it, a handmaiden or a servant or something? By one of the nodes? It's possible the restraints may have mitigated the effect of her tempering, but Tiamat has been enthralled to Bahamut for thousands of years. To have clung onto her reason through it all says a lot for her strength of will, more than a lot. Alice and I shall remain here and attend to necessary preparations. In the event that the spirit vessel fails to work as expected, you know where to find me. Good luck. Let's get moving, then. Don't worry, Dragon Mama. We'll have you free soon enough. I'd rather leave these Allian contraptions to you and Alphino. Let us split up and search the flagship for the node that controls Tiamat's restraints. But should you find a likely candidate, do not be tempted to make any adjustments. It would not do to accidentally release some manner of experimental monstrosity, nor less Tiamat herself in her current state. Our objective at this stage is simply to identify the relevant node or nodes. Once we have learned what we can, we should reconvene and compare notes prior to proceeding. Well, the node's not too far from here. In fact, there's something in here. Well, Estinians in here. These nodes, or whatever it is you call them, why do they quiver so? Well, knowing you, you've probably threatened it. Ah, here's one. A malodorous node. Friction between metallic components detected. Temperature increasing to critical levels. Please replace damaged parts or retreat to a safe distance. It's going to explode. That's not good. An obstreperous node. That's a word. Data link with Delta Quadrant broken. Possible cause, intruder interference. Advise deployment of automated combat units. Proceed? No, do not proceed. If I were another node... Ah, there we go. A clamorous node. Warning. Scheduled dragon restraint maintenance due in minus 2020 years. Failure to verify system integrity may result in unscheduled specimen release. That's putting it lightly. Infernal things. One of them sent a swarm of mechanical vilekin to plague me. I must have angered it. I'm afraid Estinian and I have little to show for our efforts. Did you find anything? I did. A node which smelled like burned hair, or yes, a chirping node which spontaneously warned me about neglecting the dragon restraints, or I found a way to activate mechanical sentries if that's any help. No, let's not be stupid about it. Spontaneously, you say? Well, that does sound promising. Almost suspiciously so, in fact. But then you were in possession of the spirit vessel. I dare say it is indeed the node of which Graha spoke. And it was chirping, you say? Very well. Let us take a closer look. Here's the one. How do the elegants tell these gods-forsaken things apart? As I suspected, the node will not acknowledge my authority to issue instructions. Did it call you a servant? Do you wish to operate the dragon restraint mechanisms? You do not have the requisite access privileges. Operation of the dragon restraint mechanisms may only be undertaken by chief technologists and members of the royal family. Or those of the vessel full of royal blood, perhaps. Good thing it doesn't understand that. One never knows when a small portion of royal Allegan blood might come in handy, which is why Grahatia keeps this vessel about his person. That and he's a bit of a goober. No user detected. Commencing biometric authentication. Authentication complete. User identified as member of the royal family. Please state your name. We could use one of their names, but we'll just go with mine. Welcome, Foxy Games. You may operate the dragon restraint mechanisms when ready. Error. Unable to disengage restraints of the specimen Tiamat. A system update is required. A system update? What do you suppose it is asking of us? I could hazard a guess, or to smash it to pieces. Nah, Foxy's a thinker. Mostly. She is a paladin, but she's not excessively violent. Well, that's more than I can say. Confounded bloody thing. User agitation detected. Initiating guidance program. In order to operate the restraint mechanism, I require access to the central control system. However, I am unable to establish a link to said system due to the obsolescence of my own software. This issue can be resolved by applying a system update using the corresponding terminal located within the flagship. So can this thing release the restraints or not? It can, but only once it has received the requisite system update as far as I can tell. Until which time it'll float there spewing nonsense. User dissatisfaction detected. Initiating placation protocols. I am here to help. Rest assured that I will be on hand to guide you through every step of the system update process. How gratifying. But I dare say we will fare better with guidance than without it. Yeah, none of us are exactly Magitech experts. If only we'd brought Sid along. I don't know what possessed the Alligans to surround themselves with these chattering orbs, but the fact they remain what their creators do not speaks volumes. Sid and his colleagues always made operating these Alligan devices seem so easy. You just need to know how to work machines, Alphino. Guiding user to terminal. This way, please. Well, let's hope none of the escaped specimens give it any trouble. Here we are. This terminal appears to be similar to the one we encountered when we first set foot here. Let us hope it will be equally helpful. Don't look at me. This is a task for you and Alphino. Then why are you even here? Access granted to user Foxy Games and her adolescent Elysian companion. Master Games' other companion is deemed a potential risk to safe operation and has been denied access privileges until further notice. That seems wise. Let's see. According to the terminal, the central control system is presently employing software version 56.135. Dare I ask which version you are employing? Why, software version 42.002, of course. Warning, errors detected in the data management system. Estimated time required for update, 5 years, 1 day. That is rather longer than we were hoping. Aren't there other options? For instance, using this terminal to operate Tiamat's restraints instead? The proposed method is indeed an option. Please be warned, however, that the procedure may have changed as a result of the system update, and my instructions may no longer be accurate. Well, I can't imagine it will have changed all that much. As long as we pay due attention to any discrepancies, I dare say we shall be able to muddle our way through. Don't bother trying to explain, just tell me if we've made any progress. I would say so, yes. It does, however, require that I remain here to operate the terminal. I shall inform you via link pearl once I am ready to release the shackles. It might be best if you left the spirit vessel with me. I may yet have use for it. Rest assured I will be certain to return it to Graha once this is over. Just a little more work and Tiamat will be free. But before we go any further, there is something I would know. When Tiamat and her kin fought against the Alligan Empire, both sides were but dancing to the tune of the Ascians. And it was the same in Ishgard, where they stoked the fires of conflict between man and dragon from the shadows. All that the Ascians touch turns to ash, and thus you have made it your mission to fight them. But there have been times when you have tried to reach out to them instead, to find common ground. And so I must ask, what do you intend to do with Fandaniel? Will you try and reach out to him too? That's a good question. Enemy or no, I want to understand him. I will try, yes, and if that fails, I'll remember him, or certainly after I've wiped the smile off his face. Honestly, with the way he's been behaving, I can grant Foxy that. I'd rather put my lance through his heart and be done with it. But perhaps that's the difference between you and me. You see the good in people, even if it be but the faintest glimmer. I only hope you do not come to rue your benevolence. You think us unwise for viewing the world thus? Far from it. That has ever been your way, and as I learned when we journeyed together with Iceheart. Yet the fact remains that there are some who view compassion as a weakness to be exploited. And there may come a time when you extend the hand of friendship only to wish that you had dealt the killing blow. So, save your mercy for those who deserve it. That we shall. Well, we should be getting back to our task. If Alphinaud has things in hand here, I suggest we rejoin the others. Good idea. I cannot deny the logic in Estinian's argument. Given all that is at stake, even the slightest lapse in judgment could be the undoing of us all. Warning, releasing dragon restraints may result in specimen loss, damage to facilities, and incineration of staff. Oh yes. Well, thankfully the staff don't need to worry about that anymore, considering, you know, they're dead. Just a fair warning, I will likely be splitting these final videos into 2 parts each, just considering how long these patches go. And I don't really know what a good stop point would be for the halfway point, so there will probably just be an abrupt cut somewhere. If this Fandaniel truly is without reason or creed, he is no better than a rabid dog. Treat with him if you must, but be ready to do what is necessary. Well, that's the way we've always been. So the spirit vessel proved useful after all? Excellent. Estinian told me all is well, but nothing more. Honestly, it's like getting blood out of a stone with him. I take it from Alphinaud's absence that he's needed elsewhere. Well, that all sounds rather frustrating, but you got there in the end. While you were off talking to nodes, Graha and I were learning as much as we could about Tiamat's condition. Our readings confirmed that her ethereal balance leans strongly towards the umbral, as was the case with the kobolds. Therefore, all other things being equal, the treatment should work. The difficulty lies in the sheer quantity of ether with which we must contend. Multiple applications of the treatment will inevitably be required if we are to reverse the effects of the tempering completely. Meaning I'll need all the ether I can get. Thank you in advance. Although this endeavor will ask much of us, we do have one reason to be optimistic. Namely that Tiamat shows no signs of fanatical devotion, suggesting a milder case of tempering than that suffered by the kobolds. Tiamat saw Bahamut as an equal rather than a god. Might that have made a difference? Now that you mention it, it very well might. She would not have believed it necessary to defer to his will. But enough talk. It's time to put our theories to the proof. Tell Alphinaud to disengage the restraints ethereal dampeners. I'm counting on you, Angelo. Knowing Estinian's lack of tech savviness, he's probably saying, like, Alphinaud, deactivate the thing. Ah, such warmth. The frost that shroudeth my soul doth begin to thaw. But what are these? Visions of days long forgotten, of war with the men of Allag. Wherefore do such baleful memories return to me now? Could it be that the process of restoring her soul to its pre-tempered state is awakening ancient memories? Or might the opposite be true? If so, by helping her to recall her past, we may be able to speed her recovery. Foxy, she trusts you. Speak to her. Ask her to tell you of times past. Tell me of Bahamut and the Assyans. Ah, Bahamut, my beloved. Would that the peace we found in Mericidia could have lasted for eternity. But alas, it was not to be. The Assyans saw to that. In all creation I know of none more wicked. It was at their behest that the men of Allag first came unto Mericidia, unto our home. The tale began when Bahamut and I left our father's side. We took wing in search of a place to make our eyrie. Beyond the southern ocean we discovered a lush and fertile land. It would come to be known as Mericidia by the children of men, though many years were to pass before they crossed the seas. Upon our arrival, we were welcomed by the peaceful people of the forest, kin to the trees. Surrounded by nature's bounty, Bahamut and I had found a place to raise our young. Fascinating. This correlates with the writings of the Sharlayan scholar Rurusha. She posits that man first settled on the southern continent towards the end of the Second Astral Era. Correctly, it would appear. If only she were with us to hear the tale from Tiamat herself. Again, Angelo. When first the children of man arrived on our shores, no foot did they set in those places over which we held domain. Such was their fear of dragonkind. And as they kept their distance, so did we let them be. Yet as the days went by, ship after ship appeared upon the horizon, bearing ever more of their brethren who divided the vast land amongst themselves. For a time they knew peace and prosperity, but as their numbers grew, the smaller their share came to seem, and soon they began to covet the territory of their fellows. Ere long, man fought man, blood was answered with blood, and none could see an end to the strife, until one day they came to us. Recognizing our wisdom, they entreated us to intercede in their conflicts. Bahamut agreed, and with him presiding over the affairs of men, the land knew peace once more. Alas, those golden days of harmony too were fated to end. For the men of Allag slew my beloved, and I, in my rage and sorrow, heeded the envenomed words of the Assyans. The rest thou knowest only too well. But your tale doesn't have to end there. When you are free, we'll rid the world of the Assyans together, and you and your beloved will have justice. Fine sentiments, but you're almost spent. I'll keep watch from above. If the treatment fails, run. Thanks for the vote of confidence. I swear when this is over. Keep going, Alice. The magic is working. Slowly but surely the magic is working, aided no doubt by the memories you bade her share. Justinian is up there. Let's have a quick chat before we try again. The girl is as stubborn as her brother. By now her ether must be all but spent, yet she will not give up. Well, I knew this wasn't going to be easy. No patient could have prepared me for treating a great worm. But we're close. I can feel it. And while I've only got a few more drops of ether left to give, with yours and Graha's, this will work. Then I believe I speak for both of us when I say that you may take as much as you require. Careful, I might hold you to that. Alright, here I go.
I'm almost there! This is it, Angelo!
Es ließ an. Unmöglich es sei.
Did it work?
We won't know for certain until the shackles are removed.
Tosk in Santal Ankin in Wayne.
Many have been subjected to the Allagan's dark arts, their flesh irrevocably altered. For such tortured souls, I fear there can be no salvation.
Ankin. Slosk an ol fol kail an. Slosk seth som in an. Afatan. Mon ud. Wan an. Lis an. Do ud an.
When that time comes, you won't be alone. We'll stand by you.
She's in an enemy.
Alphino's ready. It's time. Do it. And let's hope the treatment worked as it should.
Bahamut an Ul Jas. Ul Asa. Vesk an.
By the gods!
Urianger, your timing could not be better. Understood, we're on our way. It's Bahamut. He's been sighted over Pagalthan. He flies for the largest Amalja settlement in the region, at the head of a vast host, including dragons.
Did you hear all that, Alphino? You'd best rejoin your comrades. I'll make my own way. Our enemy awaits. Shall we?
Well, Justinian always did like to do things alone, but on the back of a dragon, the Dragon Slayer has become a dragon's best friend. Maybe he's the new hope of man and dragon. Right here is going to be a good place to make the cut in this episode because we still have a lot more to go. We have a dungeon to do and we've got a lot of plot to go through. So, in the meantime, my name is Foxy Games, and I'll catch you in the next episode of Shadowbringers. Bye.